Welcome once again to the Moon Meditations, and today we're connecting with the new supermoon in Taurus. Supermoon because the moon is closer to Earth than normal, and yeah, it's a supermoon. Before we get into the information that it carries, I wanted to come back a little bit on where we're coming from, and like especially the eclipse and the conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter, that are two very important events that have an influence that goes way beyond their actual date when they happened. So the solar eclipse in particular is still giving us that purging energy which we were discussing earlier. So it's telling us, or it's pushing us to find our way outside of an old system and into a new one. So it's really like cleaning, let it go of, and we'll come back to that concept a little bit towards the end of the information today, because it's really, really important to allow ourselves to shed things and to maybe... Sometimes, you know, it's very easy to say, okay, this I don't need. But sometimes it's good to give it a second thought. Okay, do I really need this? Really, really? Or can I make do without? Or do I need it in the new phase? Or does it serve what I want to be? Or who I want to be in the future? Tomorrow, in the next hour, in the next 5 years? So it's very important to be careful to shed the maximum to open space for the new, and we'll look at that a little bit later. As I said, I see the period that we're going through as a rebirthing of ourselves. And really there's two ways to look at it. We can focus on the pain, and then, because that's what we perhaps feel, and it's the first thing that comes at us. But then the whole thing becomes really difficult, and we know from the physical pain that the more we focus on pain, the more we feel the pain. So that's one way to do it, and I don't know if it's a good way, but I think there is a better way, and there is a more harmonious way to do it, is to take responsibility and participate in this birthing. And by that, I mean by owning whatever pain that comes at us, which can come from, as in the form of, you know, conflicts with ourselves, conflicts with people, situations that we find ourselves in our lives, and owning them and taking responsibility for that, which is the first step of any evolution. You all know that, I think. And owning that, and then allowing ourselves to expand our field of view, which is the same when you work with pain inside the body. One technique to do it is to expand it and dissolve it with your breath, for example. Well, it's the same from a conceptual perspective, is to own it and flow with it, with that movement, so that we allow ourselves to open up and see what wants to come out. And one thing that, if there is one thing to remember, to be able to accept those conflicts and those situations that ask us to grow and expand with them and change with them and transform with them, there's one ingredient, that's love. That's acceptance in all its forms, in forms of acceptance, of compassion, of stillness, of letting go of expectation. But really, acceptance for me is the key word, because that's acceptance without condition. Whatever it is, I accept it. It's part of me, it's part of my reality, therefore it's a reflection of me, and I accept myself the way I am today. It doesn't mean that I'll be like this forever, but today this is who I am, and I accept that. And that's a giant step towards evolution, really. So this is like, let's say, to start up with, and the energies where we're coming from, and I think the main ingredient that we need to keep in mind for the coming weeks, months, probably at least. And let's see in detail what's in the skies for us at the moment. So the new moon is happening in Taurus at the degree 18th degree of Taurus, and it's happening in a few hours, like in the night, depending on where you live. It's going to be in 6 hours, approximately 6-7 hours, at 4:82 time of Morocco, which I think is 3:22 GMT. And what that means is that the sun and the moon are together. That's the definition of a new moon. So the moon is not visible because it's at the same point in the sky as the sun, and they are in that 18th degree of Taurus. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac, and it's very interesting because I don't know if you remember the other moons. We did notice that there were many stars and planets that were focused or concentrated in the early signs of the zodiac, especially in Aries. Now they're starting to move in Taurus, which is the second sign. And if you look at the meaning of the various signs of the zodiac and the meaning of the significance or the meaning of the wheel of the zodiac, Taurus is the principle of matter, where the divine that has come up as a spark in Aries gets incarnated. So the spark of creation that we saw at the beginning of the year is now moving into incarnation in Taurus. And it's almost like the mother is now being inseminated by the father to give birth to new realities. So this is the type of energy we find ourselves in. And to accentuate that, the moon is the one that incorporates the light of the sun, the father, and bring it into matter to reflect it back to us. So there's a really a very strong information energy about materialization. Taurus, the mantra of Taurus is I have. So it's having material things. It's like in your hands. And the very interesting thing as well, the degree at which this moon is happening, there's a thing called the Sabian symbols. The Sabian symbols are, let's say, each degree of the zodiac, the 360 degrees of the zodiac, have a particular meaning, and they give a special meaning to any planet that is in that degree. And the degree that we are in right now, it's degree 18, as I said, from 18 to 19, and it says, a newly formed continent. So it's really talking about something new in matter that is being born, that is being, created. And it's so powerful to have that today with that moon and with that the configuration that we have in the skies. And interestingly enough, the previous degree, we are at 1802. So we're really at the beginning of the degree 18 in Taurus. The previous degree speaks about emptying one's bag. I think something like the lady is emptying her bag. So it's really talking about letting go and getting rid of the things that we don't need anymore, so that we can create new realities. So it's also freeing our minds from limitations of whatever sort, traumas, morality, social limits, whatever rules and structures that are preventing you from expressing yourself in the most expansive manner, to let's say dismantle that. And I don't mean like, I mean, each of us will do it in their own way, but I think it's important to kind of undo it, and maybe not just smash it and just like put it in the bin, because then maybe it can come back from the unconscious mind, the unconscious, way, but just to undo it, because when you undo it, you know what happened, and then you can create a new structure to support your journey. And so getting rid of those structure and changing what needs to go, and keep what needs to stay to support your journey, so that also we can receive, because there's also that idea of being in receptivity. To be able to give birth, you need to be receptive. And the receptivity that I think we are looking for is inspiration, is receiving from the divine. You can call it from your higher self, you can call it from the angels, you can call it from whatever, but being open to receive from a place we are not used to receiving from. This is what it is. It's not just in the mind, it's not just logic, it's not just science as we know it. It's allowing ourselves to receive information and to be receptive to the divine inspiration. And then things are so much easier. That's why we need to let go. That's what letting go is. Because actually, this is what co-creation means. At the beginning, I'm going to share my own experience with that word, co-creation, because perhaps it can help some of you. I was really disturbed by this word co-creation, because I thought it was, we co-create because we need to respect the idea of God and that we can't create for ourselves. Therefore, I need to be, like almost like to bow down to a divine higher force, because otherwise if I don't do that, I can't create. But that's a completely false idea. We co-create because we are aspects of the same thing. So it's not a hierarchy, it's not one is above the other, it's not, and that's probably something that comes from religions, because God is somewhere outside, and it's above, and it's in the sky, and it's bigger than us, and we're small little ants. We can't do anything without the help of God. But that's an old belief that is actually, it's not how it works. Co-creating is it's almost like having a partnership. It's with your friend, and you're doing something together. And by opening to that new information, to that new possibility that actually you are more than your physical self, and you exist in a plane that gives you access to much wider information, to much bigger wisdom. And that happens in the flash of light, literally. It travels at the speed of light. This is what enlightenment is, is derived from, because it's like boom, much faster than our thinking or our mental brains. So that's very important to remember that this is part of the opening of the new consciousness, the new birth that we're experimenting right now. Another important aspect of this new moon is that, remember that Taurus is the physical aspect of the earth sign. And the challenge for Taurus, and this is also what it is teaching us today, is to transcend that need to possess possessions. And if you look at it at a more abstract way, it's again asking us to be flexible and to let go of the things, that what we have, we don't have to have it in our hands. It's really the concept of knowing that I have everything, then I don't have to have it in my hand, because that's the concept of abundance, actually. That you have what you need, you don't have to own it. You live in a house, you have shelter, you live comfortably. Do you have to own it? No. There's so many ways to have a home. There's so many ways to eat well. There's so many ways to get dressed. There's so many ways to enjoy yourself during a day. So it's really inviting us to transform the fixity of that sign. Taurus is a fixed sign. Earth, so very material. So the transcending that fixity is learning how to be flexible. And you can be flexible if you know that you are connected to the everything, if you are connected to the divine. So you'll never lack things. Because you know you are co-creating with something that's so much bigger than the material life. So it's really about movement and accepting that movement of receiving and giving and letting go. I receive, I let go, I receive, I let go. And I let go of beliefs in the mind, trauma emotionally and physically, possessions. It's a good time if you want to, get rid of things. Sometimes it's a good way to open the mind, to let go of beliefs and thoughts, to clean the actual physical place where you are, as an exercise. So really it's talking about flow. And interestingly enough, abundance comes from Latin and describes a stream of water that is overflowing. So it's really talking about flow and movement. So that's let's say, one of the key information that is coming with this new moon. There is a lot of concentration right now in Taurus. It was in Aries, now planets have started to move. We have 5 planets in Taurus. We have the Sun, the Moon, Jupiter, Uranus, and Venus that has entered Taurus. And in Aries we still have 3 planets. 2 planets. We have the North Node, but it's not a planet. We have Mars and Mercury. And Mars had just entered Aries as well. You're going to see that it's important. Those movements of Mars and Venus are quite significant, because now both planets are in their signs of rulership. So they're at home. And when they're at home, they give their everything. So let's talk about, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Venus and the Uranus and Jupiter. So Sun and Moon and Jupiter and Uranus are conjunct. So that means that the conjunction we had on the 21st of April with Jupiter and Uranus, I don't know if you remember, but it was talking about breaking free, changing structures, sometimes in a very breakthrough way, in a very violent way, breaking them. Not necessarily in a smooth and gentle way. It can be really like they explode. And then Jupiter brings the expansion that comes with that. So the Sun and Moon being close to them reactivates that again. It's still going to be active for a while, but this is putting more emphasis on it. Number one. So it's really reinforcing the idea of transformation. And these planets are still connecting to Pluto. Pluto is has started retrograde actually on the 2nd of May, so it's moving towards Capricorn again, but it's still in Aquarius. And these stellium, those 4 planets that are conjunct, they are connecting to Pluto, and you know that Pluto is the one that is in between worlds, between the conscious and the unconscious. So it's really about transformation and transcending. The best way to use Pluto is to take whatever we have and to transcend, in the sense that experiment it completely, take the lessons and move on with a new concept for the next stage. So it is work. Pluto is work. You know, let's say a concept like Chiron would be to heal. So you don't necessarily have to transcend the things, but Pluto is requiring us to transcend things. And so what you were talking about earlier, Louisa, that's typically Plutonian work. You know, you work on your ancestry, you try to understand, you do whatever you need to do, and then you move on to the next concept or the next structure or the next idea that's going to take you to your next level of life experience, really. There's a lot of fire in the sky at the moment as well. So Mars has entered Aries, it's at home, and it's strengthening the very rebellious, the very fiery, the very active nature of Mars, the fact that it's in at home. And the very interesting thing is connecting to Pluto as well. And Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. And they are connecting to the even higher octave of that energy, which is Antares. Antares is one of the master stars of ancient Persia. It is called, in China, it's called the heart of the blue dragon. And the main energy of that star is that it's asking us to build a bridge between heaven and earth and to establish our communication with the invisible guides. So there's a lot of energy for us to make that connection with our higher selves, our guides, our team, our spiritual team, with whatever vertical, let's say, connection that you resonate with. It's a wonderful moment to do that. And also, it asks us to, the blue dragon, Antares, is asking us to purify our heart so that we can receive the messages from the guides. So this is the surrendering. So Antares, I invite you to connect with that star if you want, whenever you need it, but particularly at this moment, it's very active because it's like bouncing, the energy is bouncing with Pluto and Mars. So there's a lot of active energy that you can use to help transmute, purify, and just dissolve whatever is limiting your expansion. Because it's really speaking to this part of us, our heart, which is it's an incredible compass, and it's helping us to connect to higher realms. And to help us with that, we have another Chiron and Mercury conjunction, which talks about healing, really. Understanding, realizing what we need to heal to find our I am, because it's in Aries. So it's a beautiful moment to do the work and, to find a healer, to go through some process, to meditate, to connect with the stars, to, I would also say to find the way. We all have different ways to connect to the invisible and to connect to our guides. So it's also a good moment to find your way. What's your own, how's your connection? What's your best way to connect? Is it to go to nature? Is it to sit in meditation? Is it to paint? Is it to, I don't know, whatever. And I think it's, with everything we have in the sky, it's a great moment to refine your modality to connect. And in connection, like the other, let's say the pendant of this very masculine, this very active, this transmutational fire that we have in the sky, we have another much more feminine energy that is working in conjunction, and also at 3 different levels, at the emotional level, then the higher octave, and an even higher octave. And it's connected to Venus being in Taurus, in its sign of rulership. And Venus is conjunct the Sun and Moon. It's also squaring Pluto, which means that it's really asking for transformation on our ability to rebirth our level of consciousness, or to move on to a different level of consciousness. And what's really interesting, it's connecting also to the master star Vega. And Vega is the Queen Mother, according to Chinese astrology. So we had the blue dragon for connecting to Mars and Antares, and to Venus we have Vega. And I love this. I love Vega. It's one of my favorite stars. Vega is in the constellation of the Weaver, the one that unites sky and earth once again, but from a feminine perspective. We had the dragon that bridges sky and earth, and now we have the Weaver. The Weaver, which also creates realities, and Vega is connected to vibration. And we know that vibration is what creates realities. The vibration is what makes every one of us who we are at a certain moment, and it's what creates the geometries through which matter can be manifested. So it's a very powerful and layered set of energies that we have, in the sense that we can go to very fine and refined levels of energies. Like getting in touch with Vega is getting in touch with something super, super elevated, super fine, super powerful as well. And the fact that it's connecting to Pluto, as I said, it's again signaling that idea of rebirth, of going out from the old structures, limitations, and letting ourselves be guided by the archetypes of Aquarius, because Pluto is in Aquarius at the moment. It's I know. And I know means, you know, how sometimes you know something you've never learned it at school, no one told you, but you just know. That's being connected to your guidance, you know. And that's totally accepting who you are, because you are connected to your originality, your inner self. Very, very powerful moon that speaks about very essential things. I think it's what the information that it's bringing today, that this moon is bringing. I think it's almost like there's something that's being planted now that is very, I would say, is important to keep in mind and to keep working with it as we progress until we see the birth of that new thing that is meant to be born. So if we summarize that, so we are going through a lot of healing, purging. It's still a big theme, and because we're still into the energies of the eclipse, we are in energies that speak about rebirthing ourselves into a new consciousness from the cosmic mother father. Sirius also is involved. Sirius is the son of our sun. Sirius is involved with Saturn, which is another archetype for the father, because it talks about structures, it talks about, you know, what supports us to create realities, and it's connecting with Sirius, which is, you know, if the sun is the father, then Sirius is the son of the sun. So again, we're going to a much finer level of energies. So it's a great time to connect with those, you know, with the source of the source, to a higher octave of what allows us to create realities. And it really speaks about manifestation, and that aspect is reinforced by Vega that I spoke about earlier, but also by everything that is happening in Taurus, because Taurus is the sign of that, of being in the matter, of, you know, experimenting, of manifesting. So I see this moon as well as a, let's say, and again, over the next few weeks and months, it's really a teacher to understand what is abundance. And maybe you can ask yourself, between yourself and yourself, what is abundance? Is it to have a lot of money in my account, or is it to have a life that I enjoy? Which are two different things. One can buy the other, but you can have a good life without having lots of money in the bank, and you can really feel richer. And as I said earlier, like things you enjoy, that you experiment of in life, and in the 4 stages of evolution, expression, experimentation, can someone remind me before we get to transcendence? Expression, experimentation,
integration.
Thank you very much, Pia. Integration and transcendence. Taurus is
Transcendence.
yes, thank you. Taurus is the expression. No, it's experimentation, sorry. So it's really like, I think it's really inviting us to review our notion of what is abundance from the perspective of experimenting abundance instead of connecting abundance to possessions. That's the key of Taurus. That's the key of that sign. Yeah, and that's that. Any questions or comments or anything that you want to share? No? Then maybe we can go to Ask the Oracle. Let's see what they have to say for us today. Okay, I just touched the deck and something came out. So today we have one of the masters that came, and his name is Amhaj, and here's the card. So you can see little birds escaping a cage and going towards the sun. A very, very bright sun. And let's see what it means. Okay, I feel like every time Susan is with us, we have a master that comes. I don't know if it's true. I haven't made stats, but I don't know. I just have a feeling. All right, so Amhaj. Amhaj was known under the name of El Moria. He is the guardian of the blue ray of truth, and he's the regent of one of the inner earth centers, the one called Aurora. That's the one that is in Uruguay. Amhaj incarnated on earth in important periods of time. Marcela says it's my master. Well, maybe it's because you're here. So Amhaj incarnated on earth during some key periods and had important roles in the liberation of consciousness, of higher consciousness, in particular during the fall of Atlantis, where El Moria established the civilization of Mesopotamia. His work consists in liberating the humans or human from its will, its personal will, and to guide him towards the higher will, so that a unified planetary consciousness can emerge. Amhaj encourages people to use divine will instead of the lower will, and works towards the liberation of the human from its own or from their own mental prison. He helps all living beings on earth during these times of great changes. The center of Aurora that he leads has the purpose to help humanity enter a new dawn of experiencing life incarnated. His goal is to achieve the transformation of Earth and unify the center with the surface. Wow. I think it's a beautiful message. I'll show you the card again. Okay. If there is nothing else that you want to talk about, then... Oh, Marcela is telling us that he also rules X in Argentina. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. All right, let's go.
What does that mean? I'm sorry. What does that mean that he rules X?
X is...
what does it mean?
Marcela, do you want to explain X? X is another inner earth city. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
This is the inner realm here where I live in Capilla del Monte, Argentina. There's a energetical center underneath here. This is called ERX, and is one of the three major centers here in South America. The other one is Aurora in Uruguay, and the other one is Plan in the limits between Bolivia and Peru. And they together rule the new Shambhala, all the energy that came from Shambhala to South America. And the main purpose here from ERX is to initiate. That is why El Mori is one of the rulers here, because he governs the blue ray from the threefold flame. And that's why here we say that this is the place where everything begins, because it's an initiation energy. And that's why the blue ray, the willpower, is governed here, and this is why all the new things begin here. This is why he rules this place, and this is Erx. The meaning of Erx means I have to translate it. cosmic and sidereal remanent encounter. That's the translation of Erx. And also has another name that is Urlindim. That is why the mountain here is Uritorco. It begins with the same letters. And it's all part of Agartha, or the underworld, all the fifth or sixth dimensions that are under the earth, near the core of the earth.
Thank you very much, Marce. So we have a beautiful and extraordinary guide today. So let's go to the meditation. The sound. All right. Can you hear it? Excellent. Find a comfortable position and take a few deep breaths. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth very deeply. Another deep breath, inhaling through the nose. And release any thoughts, any tensions. One last time. Release anything that doesn't need to be in this moment and in this space. And come back to normal breathing. And we're going to start by massaging our body, starting with the feet, very gently and very lovingly. Before we start the meditation, let's acknowledge our physical body, giving it love and attention without condition. Letting it know that we're going to work with new concepts today and that everything is going to be fine, that we're safe. Go up the legs, the torso, the trunk, the belly, the chest. The back. Give yourself a loving and gentle touch. Your arms. Your face, your neck, your head and your hair, and come back to a seated position with an upright spine, with eyes closed. And I place my entire attention on my breath, letting my breath flow in and out through the nose. Softly and gently. And with each breath in, I feel I am more aware, more present here and now. And with each breath out, my body relaxes a little bit more. And I surrender to that natural flow that combines in the same cycle presence and relaxation. And I understand that in the same way that biologically these two states exist together, I understand that in my awareness and in my entire being, my perceptions can be extremely sharp, my presence very strong, while my body is very relaxed. I take a moment to acknowledge my thoughts. And I acknowledge them as the projections that create my reality. I take a moment to become aware of my emotions. And I acknowledge them as the energy that allows me to move towards my purpose. Then I become aware of my physical body. And I acknowledge the fact that it anchors my reality. I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I take a moment to recognize all the thoughts that populate my mind, all the emotions that I feel or are waiting to be felt. And recognize each part of my body, giving it a loving and grateful look. And I unify myself in that grateful and loving look that I give myself in all my aspects, my mind, my soul, and my body. I take my left hand and place it on my heart, and my right hand on my lower belly, And I start to listen to my heartbeat. And as I hear the heart, I start synchronizing my breath with my heart. Breathing in on 4 beats and breathing out on 4 or 6 beats. As my breath starts synchronizing with my heart, I notice my state of being. I notice the calm, the peace, and the space that starts to expand around me. I feel the stillness this connection brings to me. And how this surrounds me with peace, silence, calm, love. And with that feeling of centeredness, I imagine, feel, or see myself standing up and walk. I'll walk straight in front of me, putting one foot after the other firmly, with that feeling of centeredness and calm. I keep on walking, until I find some stairs opening up in front of me. I take the stairs, and step after step, I start climbing. As I walk up, that feeling of centeredness grows bigger. The calm, the peace is even stronger. And I start feeling light surrounding me and glowing from inside myself to the outside. I keep walking, climbing higher with every step. And with each step, my entire being is filled up with more light. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I arrive to a platform. It's a big hall. I look around and I realize it's a big library. I see the keeper of the library. I go to them and ask permission to enter. As I get the permission, I walk into the library and observe my surroundings. When the moment is right, I pick a book and I take it back with me to the main hall. Once I'm there, I open it and I read what's written in there. I bring that information to my heart and I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. I close the book and take it back to the library. I thank the guardian and I take the stairs back down. As I go down the stairs, with that new information in my heart, I realize that the light that was illuminating me as I was climbing stays with me. It stays with me until I reach my original point, where it all started, here and now. And I come back to the seated position that I was in. Completely full with that light and with it surrounding me entirely. With my hand still on my heart, I activate the information I received and the light that I now hold within by resonating with the sound R. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And from my heart, once again, I massage and caress my entire body, bringing back in my physical body all the information I received. And when I'm ready, I can open my eyes. Thank you for being here once again. I wish you a beautiful new moon. Thank you. Thank you all. And I'll see you at the next moon in 2 weeks. Bye-bye. Happy new moon to you all.